The Thornberry rollout suffered a massive 6-week schedule collapse. The origin of that collapse was a message from a sensor calibration vendor, running about 2 days behind, nothing major. This vendor was 3 tiers deep into the supply chain, well outside the project manager's direct line of sight. Logging the delay as a minor event allowed the team to move on to immediate fires, leaving the hidden systemic risk unexamined. This project document shows the direct result of that choice. A single missed signal stalled 3 distinct workstreams. Schedule mechanics dictate that project timelines rarely break at the exact moment a vendor delay occurs. The systemic failure occurs during the latency period. Latency is the gap between receiving an initial warning sign and actively investigating the path of that delay. While many managers treat schedules as static, linear checklists, a checklist cannot account for cascading interference. Effective timelines require a different paradigm, treating the schedule as a highly sensitive, interconnected system. In this model, a delay is an active signal traveling through a network rather than an isolated data point to be filed away. The only variable that determines the outcome is how far that signal travels before it is measured and countered. Conducting a root cause analysis of the Thornberry failure requires working backward from the 6-week collapse to the original 2-day warning. The failure was driven by the assumption that schedule float acts as a passive, self-healing safety net. This diagram illustrates that logic. It assumes the inherent slack in the schedule will naturally absorb a minor delay without disturbing downstream milestones. In execution, float is a volatile, finite budget that evaporates the moment a dependency is triggered. The manager overlooked the actual execution chain. The delayed vendor task was hard-linked to 3 critical downstream workstreams: commissioning, safety sign-off, and the client demo. These specific milestones were engineered with near-zero independent buffer, leaving them vulnerable to any upstream shift. Because the buffer was non-existent, the 2-day slip immediately breached the project's critical path. The unmapped dependencies caused the delay to compound, forcing multiple teams to stall simultaneously. Addressing the vendor relationship after the fact does nothing to resolve this underlying systemic vulnerability. The vendor slip revealed an architectural blind spot that had kept a critical dependency invisible for 2 weeks. Preventing recurrence requires moving from passive tracking to active systemic governance. The Anchor framework provides a structure for managing these complex dependency networks. The first discipline is assess the ripple. This mandate requires every reported slip to trigger a full dependency trace within a strict 48-hour window. Under this rule, no task can be classified as minor until a mathematical mapping proves it is truly isolated. We also have to re-engineer project buffers. Spreading flat padding evenly across a timeline creates a false sense of security. Efficient buffering involves asymmetrically weighting schedule protection toward nodes with high historical uncertainty, such as third-party vendors. Finally, we must address the governance of schedule drift through the realign and re-baseline discipline. Regular re-baselining must be a routine, scheduled discipline, rather than a reaction to a crisis. Documented realignment provides a source of truth that silent schedule drift destroys. Together, these disciplines create a closed-loop system designed to neutralize schedule latency. Building a rigid assessment architecture forces an immediate reaction to the first sign of deviation, securing execution resilience. This framework is operationalized through specific, trackable execution metrics. Transitioning to proactive management means moving from evenly spread buffers to weighted uncertainty, and from reactive reporting to proactive disclosure. A key metric for the system is a near-zero stakeholder surprise rate. This requires stakeholders to receive bad news via a scheduled, proactive disclosure directly from the delivery lead. Proactive disclosure prevents the lasting damage of lost stakeholder trust that follows delayed reporting. These practical actions provide a repeatable set of standard operating procedures for daily execution. Critical path tasks must be flagged for tighter monitoring protocols than standard work blocks. Managing a schedule as a system requires these disciplines to be formalized into non-negotiable habits. Every major collapse can be traced back to a message that seemed too small to matter. Running about 2 days behind, nothing major. The final accounting for Thornberry is clear: a 6-week loss triggered by 3 stalled work streams because a 48-hour assessment window was missed. The operational cost of a delay is rarely defined by the initial duration of the slip. The true cost is measured in every day spent deciding whether a delay deserves attention. Execution excellence requires treating every disruption as a signal, ensuring it is measured before it can spread.